Okay, let's get started on this. Don't get too excited by the blank page. There's nothing there that you need to remember. Okay, but here's what we're looking at, and it's worth jotting this down, although it is available and one way or another. So we're looking at, I wouldn't worry about the first note, but we're looking at these three things. Right? We're looking at the inputs that we need, the processes that we have to follow, and the outputs. And we're particularly looking at how we can put this together in a model that we might use. And that's the basis of operation management. What are the inputs? What are the things that go into what we're doing? What are the processes that we use to put things together? And what are the outputs that we end up with? And at the end of this, I'm going to ask you guys to do this for a school. What are the inputs that go into a school? What are the processes that happen within the school? And what are some of the outputs? Okay, the different inputs that we might look at. Human skills and effort. So what are the people resources that we've got and what do they do? Are there raw materials? Things like water or trees, dirt, if you're thinking of a farm, seeds. A lot of things use energy, maybe in the form of oil or electricity. What are the facilities? School campus, maybe a factory, an office building, a restaurant. And what are machinery and equipment have you got that are the inputs? You can imagine if you get down to little details, you can find a whole lot of these little tiny things. So you want to identify the most important. If you're thinking of starting up a shop, you don't want to be thinking about putting things like the fact that you need rolls of paper that go into the cash register. You want to be thinking what are the most important inputs. Next thing we look at are the processes. And processes might be where you even want to get like a competitive advantage, because this is where things are changing. If you think about the school environment, I don't think 5 years ago many schools would have had the equivalent of our learning management system that we call Sector or Connect. That's a different process. So process might be the cooking that goes on, the assembly, the scheduling, loading, all the different things that happen. And then we come to the last thing is the outputs. The outputs could be anything. The outputs might be a taxi ride. The outputs could be education. The outputs could be a pen. Whatever it is that your business has created. Golf clubs, washing machines. There's a whole variety of outputs, and that's the core, of course, of what your business is trying to create. Okay, I want to show you a couple of examples of how this might look. This is the operations behind the inputs, processes, and outputs behind a washing machine. So you start with the actual plant. So when you think of resources, that's the space that you work in, the equipment, the plastic, the electrical parts, the paper, the power or the fuel to run the place, and the labour. That's the people side of things here. Then the process is assembling the washing machine and testing it, and the output is a washing machine with instructions and warranty. The next one here is for freight service. So the inputs are things like the facility, the trucks, the drivers, office staff, computers, and then the processes, the actual transport and the scheduling of loads, and the output is the delivery of goods. So that's an example of a service one. Okay, here's a task. We're going to think about this for the Lakes College and put together what the inputs, processes and outputs are. Who's got some idea on just one at a time? What is some idea on some of the inputs? Aidan? I think teachers are important inputs. Okay, that's a good start. Very good start. What other inputs have you got, Lewis? Yeah. So technology, and you're talking specifically about adapting technology, but just all the technology that we've got to use in the classroom. That's very good. Yep. What are other big ones? Students. Yep. We can't have a school without students. That's fair enough. What else? What other? Anyone got any other big ones along there? Sorry. Curriculum. Yes. Okay. Ironically, I struggle to spell that, but curriculum is an important one. What other? Maybe another one or two inputs. So we've got some fairly good ones: teachers, technology, students, curriculum. Yep. Okay. Classrooms. That's actually, I reckon that's a pretty good list of the most important inputs there. Okay, so what are some processes that actually happen here at the school? What have we got? Yep. Okay, teaching of a class is a process. Very important. Okay, some would say I'm doing it now. What are some other processes? Mentoring. Yep, very nice. Okay. Schools are big. We have we have a business manager here, Leanne Wheeler, who looks after that whole person who does that role. Yep. Okay, that's an important one. Okay, I like the idea that professional development comes after I've misspelt finance, but we'll just move on from there. Professional development staff. Any other processes that we've got? Learning. Yep. And I think a big one is assessment and reporting. So there's a bunch of processes that happen within the school. Now, I wish I hadn't said what I thought the output was, but I did. Anyone got any ideas what they think their output is? What do you reckon? Yep. So education students. And I'd even put it from the context that what you hope to end up with is an educated student. Does anyone have a different output or disagree with that output, that an educated student is a reasonable output? Yeah. I just want to finish off with this one thing, right? You look at this and you'd say, so what? What's the point of this? You might pick a few points. Number one is you might say, well, if this is the output, an educated student, maybe that should be the focus of the marketing of the school. We should look at what our young people are doing as they graduate. Are they being successful in their careers and so on? So maybe there's an idea of where it comes from. Or you might look into these inputs and say, okay, if these are the key inputs, we have to think about how we manage to make sure they're all high quality. How do we do that? Or you might say, okay, which are the most important processes in here? You might say, well, teaching of a class might be the number one and professional development staff might be number two. So say, okay, well, how do we manage those really key processes and make them outstanding, make them better than everyone else? So that's how you could use that, because if you just put that information in, it's not going to excite me. Right? The next thing is, what does this mean? What are the issues that come out of this? And what do they mean for the business?